I was wondering why they gave me this award, and now I know. Okay. President Mandel, faculty, staff, fellow trustees, fellow alums, family, friends, and the great class of 2022. Before I begin my remarks today, I want to take a moment to remember the victims and heroes and all of us who were impacted by the events of 9/11. My office at Deutsch faced the Twin Towers. Almost every night while I was working late, I would look at the lights of the Twin Towers. I would look and think about the people who were working behind those lights and think we had something in common. Of course, it was virtual, but I knew as those lights started to dim that it was time for me to go home because they were all going home. On that morning, I had a clear view of the tragedy that unfolded, and I looked at those windows and thought, I hope my friends are spared. Today, on the 20th anniversary of a time I prefer to remember as a testament to our shared humanity, a time when tragedy inspired togetherness and selflessness, let us all remember the victims, their families, the heroes who lost their lives, the first responders who risked their lives, and the people who stepped up to help those in need. May we never forget. It's very much like the messages of community that we heard here today. They're so important for your future. I'm so very grateful for the tremendous honor of speaking with you today on this such an important day in your lives, on the first day of the last year of your time at Williams, or at least the first celebration of that first day. I'm thankful that my husband Dixon and my son Brian, who support me in my dreams and who stand beside me with help and encouragement, can be here to share in this very special day. And if I told you the story about how I got up here yesterday, you would be marveled at the fact that they are both here. I like to remember my parents, my grandmother, and an uncle of mine who showered me with positivity growing up in the Bronx and told me that I could do anything. And I'm thankful to my sister Stephanie, my brother-in-law Omar, my best friend Deborah, and my niece Allie from the resilient and brilliant class of 2022. I'd like to thank you all for sharing in this great moment today. The honor of receiving a bicentennial medal from the oldest alumni network in the country during the very week when we celebrate 200 years is just beyond poignant. Joining the group of other bicentennial medal recipients is overwhelming and so meaningful to me because of the place that Williams holds in my life and in my heart. Our Alumni Association thrives because people like you and people like me and those who came before us have experiences here, and we have stories here, and we share values. The experiences we all have are different, and the memories will all be different. But the myriad of connections we've all formed during our time here bind us. And your participation in this society is what will help us grow as a community for the future. I hope you'll all stay connected to the college as you graduate from Williams. I hope that some of the things I've learned on my journey will inspire you on yours and help you think about how to navigate your last magical year in the Purple Valley. I hope you'll hear that leadership can listen and learn and support momentum. And I hope you'll hear that with your strength and your exceptional skills and your boundless capacity to think creatively comes an opportunity to make a difference, big or small. I hope you hear me asking the question myself, what can I give and how can I say yes to be of service to make a difference? I'd like to share some stories with you about how saying yes has shaped my path in my career and in my life. I attended Cardinal Spellman High School, which was a high school nestled in the projects of the Bronx. In senior year, when I was elected the first female student body president, so I guess I have something in common with Maud, I did something naughty by Catholic school standards. You see, I was supposed to be accountable for producing a show, And this show or assembly was a rally so that students would sell the candy, this ungodly amount of candy that we were meant to sell. And the mission was smart. It was to fund student activities, so buses and dances and uniforms and all kinds of things that they didn't have the budget for. So it was a good goal. They told me I better stick with the program. Stick with the program. You do a skit, like Saturday Night Live, you do a skit, and it has to be about selling candy. And I thought, yeah, okay, well, I got that. That's easy. But my executive committee had a little bit of a different idea. They came to me and said, well, you know what? We have this student band, and they're terrific, and we'd like them to perform at the rally. And that had never been done before, believe it or not. So I said, well, the candy police and the administration are probably going to be okay with that. So let's do that. And they said, yeah, well, there's a little bit more than that we want you to approve. And I said, okay, what is that? And they said, well, we would like to close the assembly with Leonard Skinner's Free Bird. And I thought, I'm dead. I'm going to get in so much trouble because Godspell, they would have been like, okay, but Free Bird? I was like, I said, okay. So I listened to them. I listened to their story. I listened to them tell me about how it would motivate sales because the kids would all be excited, and so they would leave and they would go sell candy. And so on Assembly Day, rolling from a benign rewrite of the Candyman song from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory straight into Free Bird, the crowd went crazy. People were out of their seats, throwing their programs around, and, the administration was looking at me like, you're dead. So they flew backstage and kind of turned off the sound, and they weren't really happy, and that was too bad because we sold more candy than we had ever sold in the history of the school. And so that was really great. We got new uniforms, we got buses for the girls' teams, which they never funded before. And so people were excited, the students were excited, and we did the right thing. I thought we did the right thing. But I got a good scolding about rule breaking and about my leadership style. And so I still thought we did the right thing, so, the rule breaking thing was okay. But it made me really think about my leadership style. And that was my first taste of what's become my signature sort of leadership approach. Listening to ideas, thinking of ways to say yes, and enabling people with dreams and new thinking to try things, to use my stature as support in their fails and in their successes. Enabling and essentially giving people freedom, validation, and support have been the keystones of my impact as a leader and as a multiplier of what others have been able to give. A few weeks after that assembly, I visited and fell in love with Williams. It seemed like the right place for me. The place oozed of intellectually curious people with different passions and talents, a place where I could learn about cultures, customs, religions, and learn from others with different perspectives and backgrounds, and also learn from this expert faculty that I learned wasn't just interested in their own success, but really, really vested in the student's success. And that was different. My guidance counselor, on the other hand, told me, you better forget about it. You're not getting into Williams. Williams is out of your league. And with the stunt that you pulled off at the candy assembly, you're not getting a recommendation from the administration. So, in fact, they described me as a gutsy risk taker, a bold, blunt, quick on her feet, comfortable taking on the man type of leader. That was certainly not Williams' material in their minds. But Williams wasn't afraid of my leadership style. They were excited to embrace this bold, gutsy risk taker from the Bronx. I believe that Williams wanted the chance to cultivate and nurture that spirit, to help me develop a larger, stronger voice and provide me with tools to grow as a leader. They invited me to talk with admissions. So I am going to tell this story, Maud. Imagine this scene. It's January, and I take the subway to Port Authority. I jump on the Amtrak to Albany, and I get a ride to Williamstown. And I'm sitting in the admissions office with my only wool skirt, high heels, and the resident Labrador Retriever, because at that point, dogs were allowed to sort of roam around the campus freely, was kind of sniffing at my legs and sat on my feet. And I never had a dog, so I was like, oh my God, is this like a test? This dog is on my feet and I have to have an interview. And Valerie DiFebo, yes, that's me. Where are your parents? And I don't know if you can see my eyes. I freaked out. I was staring at them. My parents are in the Bronx. My mom is taking care of my sisters. They would never come here. Do they have to be interviewed? Why are they asking me where my parents are? And I just think, all that is in my head, and I just say, my parents are in the Bronx. I look around and I wonder why there are multiple sets of parents here, the moms all dressed up in their pearls and pumps, and I'm thinking to myself, oh no. And then they said, how did you get here? And I said, I'm like thinking again, what do they mean? How do people get places? I took buses and subways and trains, and how else do people get places? And I just said Amtrak. And they just stared at me kind of. And I thought to myself, the minute I left that interview, I knew that they stuffed that letter in an envelope that said, thank you very much for coming, but you will not be part of the class of 1984. One thing I can assure you, I left here after that interview feeling very different. Williams actually said yes to me, and I accepted the invitation to join the great class of 1984. I became more aware that indeed I was quite different from many of my colleagues. As Maud said, I was a first-generation college student on financial aid and the first in my family to ever even leave home. I didn't know what a deb ball or wide whales were, and I never knew anyone who played paddle tennis, field hockey, or lacrosse. I didn't. I didn't know what those plaid skirts were. I was like, what are those plaid skirts they're wearing? Is there a party with kilts? Over time, I learned that many of my classmates also felt different. And the truth is, we are all different. And we have different perspectives and different ways of constructing a point of view. And all of that provides richness and a springboard for new thinking, collaborative thinking, special thinking. I learned that the values of empathy and respect for these differences were invaluable preparation for my life and my career. Williams changed the trajectory of my life. And I'll say that again because it did. It changed the trajectory of my life. And it gave me accessibility to all of this, to learning how to problem solve, to think analytically, to use data to build solutions, to work in collaboration with my classmates, to embrace diversity of thought, and just to get to better. Oh, wait a minute. We don't get to better at Williams. That's at Amherst. We get to best at Williams. The profound impact Williams has had on my life has inspired and motivated me to reach back and give. And Maud told you I've been a class agent since graduation. I dial for dollars because I know firsthand that those dollars go to kids like me who never thought they could afford to be here. And I've hosted hundreds of students, internships, conversations. Williams students never, ever disappoint me. They are constantly the top of every single project we put them on. It's because you learn how to think here and how you learn how to be with others and think. It's not just about yourself. Graduating as a psychology major and with a concentration in art history, I was excited about entering advertising. I learned a lot about the power of a brand, relevant messaging, how to run and grow a business. I worked hard. I was always curious about learning more, and I always hand-raised for more responsibilities. And as Maud said, about 29 years ago, in direct conflict with my mentor's advice, I joined this advertising agency called Deutsch, which was relatively small and independent. They had a reputation of being a bunch of renegades, which sounded like a great place for me and a great experiment for me. Like Williams, there was something about my straightforward style, my lead with my head and my heart track record that made me the right choice for their team. I was given an opportunity to grow business, open an LA office, curate and nurture talent, build a culture, and in the process, every single day learn how to be a better leader. Many of our employees actually have 20-year stints at our company. They love it. And when they leave, sometimes they return, and we call them boomerangers, and we have lots of those too. We win awards for best places to work because people feel respected, seen, and heard, and because they have opportunities to grow. Most importantly, because they know they can show up to work as themselves. They know that their voices and their different perspectives matter. And they know that I look for ways to say yes. The truth is, my truth is that I'm an enabler. And I'm going to ask you to suspend the pejorative connotation of this word for a moment. I know what it means in the dictionary, and it means an even worse thing in the Urban Dictionary. An enabler to me is a helper, a supporter, a champion, someone who looks for ways to say yes. Saying yes can be a superpower. It's listening, seeing potential, and giving what you can give to make even the smallest difference. My son Brian calls me extra. And I think that's a compliment rooted in a lot of yes, but it could be because of my shoes. Don't know. Okay, I have a few little stories I want to tell you about the power of yes. And today I want to introduce you to my best friend from high school. Her name is Deborah Konigsberger, and she's here today. Deb owns a successful clothing boutique in Chelsea, which was initially financed by her parents. And when I say financed, I mean they mortgaged their home because they believed that she could make a difference. She had a dream, a mission, a burning desire to make a difference to the moms and kids living in shelters in New York City. She started a not-for-profit 30 years ago called Hearts of Gold, and she asked me to help. She said, I'm having a fashion show, and I was like, cool, I'll be there, when is it? And she was like, yeah, great. No, I need you to help me write ads. We need programs, we need fees for the models, someone to set up chairs, a runway, auction items, seating charts, food, cocktails, and a cleanup crew. You're in, right? And I looked at her and I thought, yes, we can do this. Yes, of course we can do this. That was year one. We raised $40,000 and provided moms and kids with birthday parties, which sounds little, but to people who never get birthday parties, the joy of celebrating your birthday when you can't do that often is a big deal. We gave them winter coats and school supplies. And in 2007 and 2008, when the country was facing a financial crisis, Deborah said, we need to open a thrift store so we can continue to raise funds for the moms and kids. The store could provide on-the-job retail training for the moms, and then we can fund programs to tutor the kids. We can send them on field trips. It'll go so much further. And she said, you're going to help, right? And I said, of course. What do we need? Oh, we need real estate. We need money for construction. We need merchandise. We need people to work in the store. And again, I was overwhelmed and thought, Deborah, really? And of course, I said, of course I'll help. Yes, we can do this. Make no mistake, Deborah does all the hard work. She's hands-on, and during the pandemic, she turned that store into a warehouse to distribute care packages of food, toilet paper, computers, to thousands of moms and kids. I'm simply her support, her enabler. We know we aren't changing the world, but we are changing the trajectory of people's lives, the lives of their families, and providing those children with a hopeful future. Just last week, Deborah took Jordan, a boy who'd been supported by Hearts of Gold since he was born, to fulfill his dreams of being a pharmacist. She took him to college with his mother. This weekend, Hearts of Gold will distribute 1,200 backpacks filled with school supplies, Chromebooks, and a healthy dose of You Can Do This to kids all over New York City who wouldn't normally have school supplies. And other kids would look at them and think, they don't have what I have. Here's one more short story. A new friend of mine, Rima Webb, who is actually a Broadway legend, sang at the Apollo Theater a few weeks ago alongside Jennifer Hudson. She's been performing on Broadway for 30 years in shows like The Lion King, The Color Purple, and The Book of Mormon. She has the voice of an angel, and she has a heart that could fill every scene on Broadway. Rima founded and runs a performing arts training program for underserved communities in the famous Riverside Church in Harlem. Rima calls on friends of hers like Brian Stokes Mitchell and Daphne Rubin Vega and Renee Elise Goldsberry and Billy Porter to teach her students about the craft, to give them access so that they can see successful people who look like them. She's given countless children their start in theater and helped hundreds find their voices, their tribes, and their confidence. Saying yes to REMA is easy. It means being a prop finder, a program maker, a caterer, an auction supplier, a ticket seller, and a fundraiser. So for me, being an enabler or someone who says yes is a commitment to being a multiplier of other people's dreams. It often means that you're curating the assets that fueled your own success and sharing them with others. I get tremendous satisfaction and joy out of being a driver, a sweeper, a bag packer, a shopper, an event planner, and a seat assigner. And now that I know that you guys can all pack and unpack cardboard boxes, I might call you because we need a lot of those. I hope that as you begin your senior year, you will enjoy your friends and deepen those relationships. Treasure the time you have with them. My Williams friends are the gifts that never stop giving. In fact, when they knew I had to give a speech, each of them were asking me, what are you going to say? You have so much to say, what will you say? And I said, I think I'm just going to tell my story. I hope you take advantage of all Williams has to offer. You will look for opportunities to think about how with your skills and your tools and your connections, you can ignite your yes moments. The financial rewards of your future pursuits will afford you the opportunity to be leaders with the superpower of yes at your fingertips. You are our next generation of leaders, no matter what path or paths you choose. You will bring with you a giving, enabling sensibility, and with that, know that your yes can make all the difference in the world. Congratulations. I know that the class of 22 will do great, great things. Yes? Yes! Thank you so much for this honor.